heavily damaged.
Fox's Lucas Tomlinson at the Pentagon reports 3 sailors, including the captain, were also injured in the collision. Fox News, fair and balanced.
Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling. Weather.
The official FM NewsTalk 97.1 Weather Center forecast calls for tonight to be warm and muggy with thunderstorms around. Storms can be severe with locally damaging wind and hail. Lows 70 to 74. Then for tomorrow, clouds break for sun as it turns less humid. High 86. Partly cloudy, more comfortable tomorrow night. Low 66. Monday will be nice with sunshine and low humidity. High 85. I'm meteorologist Frank Strait for FM NewsTalk 97.1.
At Royal Gate Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, they're setting the stage with their Drive and Discover event. Sign and drive a new 2017 Jeep Cherokee Latitude for only $299 a month. Zero down, taxes included. Yes, I said zero down, taxes included. Visit Royal Gate in Ellisville, Missouri or Columbia, Illinois, just 5 minutes from South County, or at royalgatedirect.com. See dealer for details. Mention Psych with Mike and get the Royal Package at no charge.
FM NewsTalk 97.1 and AARP in St. Louis are proud to present the 54th Annual Moonlight Ramble Bike Ride, Saturday, August 5th in downtown St. Louis. Join us for an evening of fun as thousands of bicyclists take over the streets of St. Louis under the light of the moon. For a limited time, use promo code BIKE and save 10% on registration. It's the Moonlight Ramble Bike Ride, Saturday, August 5th. Brought to you by AARP in St. Louis. Get more information and register now at moonlightramble.com. FM NewsTalk 97.1 presents Psych with Mike with Michael Mahon. Brought to you by Royal Gate Dodge. Royal Gate Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram with the largest inventory of new Dodge vehicles in St. Louis. Visit them in Ellisville, Missouri or Columbia, Illinois. Online at royalgatedirect.com. This is Psych with Mike.
Good evening, St. Louis. A little bit after 8 o'clock on a Saturday night. So this is Psych with Mike. I just wanted to let everybody know that I want to wish anybody who is a father or anyone who has ever had a father a happy Father's Day. And if you have any remembrances of your dad, or if you are a father and you have something that you'd like to share about being a dad or about how you think that being a dad is an important job, you can give us a call tonight, 314-969-9797 or 866-455-9797. We're going to talk about what it is to be a good dad, specifically what it is to be a good parent in general in a little bit. The first segment, we're going to do our regular free association, take a look around the world and see what's going on. But the first thing that I wanted to do was I've said this many times, that the bumper music is music that I had picked out, and that I had picked out for a reason, and that there was a story behind each of those songs, but I've never actually shared that. So I thought that tonight, on Father's Day Eve, I would go ahead and let you guys in on that secret. It's not really a secret, but let you in on that story. So for me, I give everybody a nickname and I give everybody a song in my life. And so the songs that you hear in the bumper music are the songs for the four people that are in my nuclear family. So the first song is In God's Country by U2. And that's my wife's song, and the reason is because the last refrain in that is naked flame. She stands with the naked flame. I stand with the sons of Cain, burned by the fire of love. And the meaning there is that my wife came into my life at a time when I was lost and rudderless, and fire is a symbol of purity and cleansing, and made me want to be a better person, a better man, and actually was successful in making that happen, which is a big part of why I am here today and able to do this radio show. So the second song is Do You Realize by the Flaming Lips. The second song is The Lion Sleeps Tonight by the Tokens. And the reason for that song is when my son was little, one of the things that I always felt really, really motivated and committed to was reading to my kids. So nobody read to me when I was little, but my dad loved to read, and to try and get his attention probably more than any other reason, I adopted a love of reading at a very young age, and I wanted to give that to my children. And so I read to them every night before they went to bed, no matter what was going on in my life, or for that matter, going on in their lives, because I thought that that was an important thing. And so my son's favorite book growing up was this book of animal families. And the last line in the book was, the mama lion licks her cub and goes to sleep. And every night my son would lick my face, and we would turn out the lights and he would go to sleep. And so that's why The Lion Sleeps Tonight is his song. And then the third song is Do You Realize by the Flaming Lips. And so the reason that that's my daughter's song is because she's really driven and she's really good at a lot of things, but sometimes she loses focus on what is important. And so Do You Realize, the line in that song is, do you realize that everyone you know someday will die? But instead of saying your goodbyes, you let them know you realize that life goes fast. It's hard to make the good things last. You realize the sun doesn't go down. It's just an illusion caused by the world spinning round. So the scientific explanation for the sunset is that the earth spins, not that the sun moves. And yet, even though we know scientifically why that happens, it doesn't change the fact that the event itself is incredibly beautiful. And that's something that I try and tell my daughter on a regular basis. And then the fourth song is If I Had It All by the Dave Matthews Band. And the reason for that is the last line in that song is, if I had it all, I'd just F it up. And that is for me because I have to regularly remind myself that I'm not the center of the universe. I'm not all that in a bag of chips. And if you get too big and too bold with how you see yourself and your own self-importance, then eventually that's going to come back to bite you on the butt. So that's why those songs are in the bumper music, and I just wanted to share that. Again, happy Father's Day to anybody who's a dad. If you have ever had a dad, happy Father's Day to your father. Give us a call, share your stories about your dad, or if you're a dad, share your stories about what it is to be a good dad. So let's take a look at what's going on in the world. So the first thing that I wanted to say is that on Monday, my daughter's Beyonce worked out with me.
Beyonce? Beyonce. She's a singer. Beyonce.
Uh-huh. No, it's her Beyonce because...
Are we making up words here?
We are. We are making up words.
Okay.
But there's a reason.
All right.
So my daughter and her Beyonce have set a date, so I have now permission. I don't share things on the show because I am strictly forbidden from doing so unless I get the okay from my family. Unlike Dave, who shares everything without even thinking about it.
No hesitation.
Exactly. I've been told very clearly that that I'm not allowed to share anything unless it gets cleared. So we have to go through this whole process. It's like going through the process of declassification in the government. Mm-hmm. So it has to get voted on, and ultimately it can get vetoed by anybody for any reason. But I've been told that this is okay to share. So my daughter and her Beyonce have set a date. Thank you. So June 1st of 2018, they are going to get married.
That's long engagement.
Well, it's a year.
Yeah, it's a long engagement.
Well, you don't have children yet.
No.
But soon. You and your lovely wife are going to have children, and at some point you may have a daughter, and she'll eventually grow up, and she will break your heart by going out and I'm just joking. She'll go get married, and what you'll realize is...
But you like this guy.
Oh, I love this guy.
Okay, so right.
But if you don't start planning a wedding a year out in St. Louis, and I assume that it's even worse other places, then you end up having a very limited options as far as venues go. So you have to think about this a year in advance. So we've been thinking about it because she had told him a while back that she was either going to get married before she started medical school or she wasn't going to get married until she was done with residency.
Oh, wow. Which is like 12 years.
Yeah. And at least 8, and it could be 12.
Exactly right. Yeah.
And so he was like, okay, well, then we're getting married before you go to medical school.
Let's do this now.
And, if she got married after medical school, then she wouldn't change her name. And that's because they tell you when you go to medical school that once you establish a professional identity, you have to stay with that professional identity. So they've decided that they're going to go ahead and get married, which is the right thing. I mean, I do love this guy. They're great together, and it is the right thing to do. But my daughter has what we will say are very elegant tastes.
That's putting it very nicely.
Yes. And therefore, the ring is a little bit more expensive than he had originally anticipated.
Oh.
So he is currently, and he's a
currently
great guy,
working
and
3 jobs.
To try and get enough money for the ring. So she doesn't have a ring.
It's nice she has standards.
Yes.
And that's your fault.
And that he is willing to meet those.
Yes. Again, your fault.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
I totally blame you on this.
And I'm willing to accept that. I don't have a problem with that. But so they have a date, but not a ring. So he's a Beyonce.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so that's why.
Okay.
But he was over at my house on Monday and wanted to work out with me. And so we did. And we've worked out before, but we worked out with a workout that I put together. This he put together. And I'm telling you.
Beat the heck out of you, didn't he?
It was Monday. Today is Saturday.
Remember, he's younger than you
I am still
20 plus
yeah.
years?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, all I can say is it's great to be 20 years old. And I'm happy at 52 to be able to do what I do.
Right. But let's be fair. You can't keep up with that age and that. No, that's not fair.
Even in my imagination, I can't keep up.
Could you at that age?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. At that age, I would have lifted him under a table. But I won't tell him that.
You just did.
Yeah.
He's listening.
Well,
that's him. That's him calling in.
I doubt it because, ironically enough, nobody in my family listens to the show. But that's my own personal.
That's your own, battle to face. My wife listens. I'm just saying.
Oh,
I'm bringing more. I'm bringing more to the table to this than you are.
Because she loves you. That's because she loves you.
I don't know what that means.
But if we think about just looking around, we don't have to spend a whole lot of time on the Jeff Sessions thing. We did talk about Comey last week. The only thing that I will say is that, in my opinion, I thought that Comey looked very poised and very competent, and I thought that Sessions often looked very frustrated and at times even incompetent. And I don't know if anybody shares that opinion. That was just my view. I didn't understand why he would insist to do it publicly because he had been given the opportunity to do it privately. I think he would have been better served doing a private interview rather than doing it publicly. So,
yeah, I don't know his logic there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to jump into his mind or try to diagnose him from afar.
Yeah, well, and that's actually a great point because you had actually sent me something a couple of weeks ago on something called the Goldwater case, and I thought that this would be a good time to talk about this because we are getting into some political subjects, and I am fairly new to radio, and so I wanted to talk about this because people may wonder why we don't oftentimes as professionals, do a lot of critiquing, at least professional critiquing of individuals who are in the public media. And the reason is because of something called the Goldwater Rule. So back in 64, was it? I think 64, but don't quote me on that. The APA, the American Psychological Association, sanctioned a number of individuals who actually got together, and a number of psychological professionals who got together and put out a memorandum that said that Barry Goldwater was not fit to be president. He eventually lost the election. And as a result of that, the governing bodies for our profession said, you shouldn't do that if you've never met an individual, and so don't ever do that again. And that's always been the standard that we have operated under, although there are now people who want to, and they've actually had a couple of meetings about this at the APA, to rescind the rule during the Trump presidency, because there are individuals who, and from a professional capacity, feel like it is their obligation to be able to professionally evaluate what they think the mental state of the president is. So I don't know how other people feel about that. I would not do that. I'm not going to ever say that I know that Donald Trump is narcissistic or anything. I might say that I see those personality traits, but I would say that about anybody. But I would never diagnose someone that I had never met. So I don't know how you feel about that, but
does it seem like the people that, for lack of a better word, diagnosed Barry Goldwater back in the 60s made a mistake? Were they wrong to do that? Were they wrong in their judgment? Were they wrong to speak out?
Well, that was the year I was born, so I don't know Barry Goldwater. I didn't know, now. From my,
they were obviously pulling from what they'd read and heard and seen and everything else about him to make those statements.
Well, and were they wrong? I would say absolutely they were not wrong, because prior to that 1964, it was fairly common practice for individuals to be able to voice their professional opinion in a public forum. That was not taboo or sanctioned in any way. And people had done that many times prior to that 1964
decision.
Yeah. Now, what happened in this case was that 2,000 psychologists and psychiatrists got together and signed a document. To my knowledge, that had never happened before. And so should people band together to try and influence what they think the behavior of the entire populace should be, that I kind of am a little bit leery of. So should a single individual be able to state what they think professionally? I kind of feel like, yes, you should be.
But not necessarily the APA saying
sanctioning
red flag here, this out of our organization does not support this candidate. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a presidential candidate. Could be a congressman, could be a senator, could be a governor, that sort of thing. So it's sort of it's tough to say to somebody, no, you can't say how you feel about something based on your knowledge of a subject.
Exactly.
The old saying, everybody has an opinion. It's true, but this is a perhaps more educated opinion that we're not hearing about somebody?
Well, that is the argument that people are making, is that now people are even saying that this could be a situation where there's a duty to warn. So for people who aren't aware, when you are a professional and you hold a state license, you are obligated to warn individuals of impending danger. And there are people who are in the APA or the AMA now who are saying, we believe that there may be an actual obligation, a professional obligation, legal obligation on our part to actually speak out, because we feel like that there may be a duty to warn. Now, I don't believe that the President of the United States, that you have the duty to warn anybody. I mean, this guy is well-known, well-viewed, and unless he's going to take the nuclear football and say, we're going to launch nukes and I don't care who doesn't like it, I'm not sure that I think there's ever a duty to warn. But, again, I support the idea of professionals being able to express their own individual opinions. So if these are individuals, I'm all for it.
Because then again, there are other individuals that may disagree with their opinion. And then what do you have? You've got a good debate.
Exactly.
You've got a good conversation between two experts with a differing view. And is that good or bad?
I think that's fantastic. Now, again, we get into this idea of confirmation bias. People are going to tend to believe the view that they already hold in their own mind. But I believe the debate is exactly what is beneficial. Okay, we're going to go to our first break. When we come back, we are going to start to talk about what it is to be a dad, what it is to be a good dad. So, Tim, hang on the line. We're going to start with you when we come back. Be right back.
Talk lines are open now. 314-969-9797 or toll free 866-455-9797. This is Psych with Mike. Look for the 97.1 Freedom Fleet out and about this summer in the St. Louis region. Check out the list of events at 971talk.com and ask for a sticker when you see the 97.1 Freedom Fleet, powered by Dent Devil of St. Louis, professional cosmetic car care.
The Financial Symphony is a show that blends the worlds of music and finance together in one harmonious package. It features your local financial maestro, Jerry Means.
A lot of advisors out there are mainly giving accumulation advice or looking at the growth through your working years. You really need to take a look at, is your advisor giving you advice on preservation and distribution?
That's the Financial Symphony with Jerry Means, Sunday mornings at 9 on FM News Talk 97.1.
At Royal Gate Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, they're setting the stage with their Drive and Discover event. Sign and drive a new 2017 Dodge Charger SXT for $239 a month. Zero down, taxes included. Yes, I said zero down, taxes included. Visit Royal Gate in Ellisville, Missouri or Columbia, Illinois, just 5 minutes from South County, or at royalgatedirect.com. See dealer for details. Mention Psych with Mike and get the Royal Package at no charge.
When IRS problems become serious problems, you need serious solutions. Lance Drury is here to help. Named top practitioner of 2016 by the American Society of Tax Problem Solvers, Lance will create a specific strategy for solving your IRS problems and navigate the path for IRS tax relief. Lance Drury has handled hundreds of IRS cases right here in the St. Louis area, so you know you're in good hands. Your first visit is completely free and confidential. You'll meet with him in person. When Lance Drury contacts the IRS on your behalf, they'll know that you have an experienced tax resolution attorney who knows your rights. So take action now. If you're facing IRS wage levies, bank levies, or tax liens, call the law firm of Lance R. Drury at 314-238-7360 or go to lancedrurylaw.com. If you have IRS issues, you have legal issues. You need an attorney. You need Lance Drury. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Hi, I'm Kelly Clarkson, and I've toured the country dozens of times, and there's one thing every state has in common: childhood hunger. The sad truth is that 17 million kids don't know where their next meal is coming from, or if it's even coming at all. Yet there are billions of pounds of surplus food around the country at farms and warehouses that could help end this injustice. But all that food is useless if it doesn't get where it needs to go. That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gathers surplus food and gets it to hungry kids before it goes to waste. But they can't do it without your help. Join me in supporting Feeding America and your local food bank. Find out how at feedingamerica.org. Together we can solve hunger. Together we're Feeding America.
To help solve hunger in your community and to find your local food bank, visit feedingamerica.org. That's feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Hey guys, the DGS is celebrating 4,000 radio shows, and you're invited to join the fun. Celebrate with us on Saturday, July 8th at Trail Smokehouse for just $45. Tickets include an all-you-can-eat barbecue buffet, live music from that 80s band, and a limited edition DGS 4K t-shirt included. Cash bar including beer, wine, and soda available on-site at Trail Smokehouse. Plus, meet the members of the DGS show.
DGS 4K, presented by Mort's Royce Jewelry.
So get your tickets now before they're gone.
Sponsored by Lombardo Homes. Follow Mike on Twitter at Psych With Mike. Now, more Psych with Mike on FM NewsTalk 97.1.
We are back. It is a little bit before 8:30 Saturday night. It was a beautiful evening outside. Ken Williams, who is the engineer, actually took me on a little tour of the station and showed me the back entrance so that I could park my Jeep under the bridge in the back and actually come in the back way. So I'm just learning all kinds of new things.
And that's great back there in the winter.
Yeah.
Or if there's any sort of real bad weather forecast.
Yeah, no, it looked fantastic.
Yeah, now.
So it's not good radio but I'm just amazed at it just feels like that everything is that I'm learning so much by being here. So we're going to talk now for the rest of the time about dads and what it is being a good dad. I believe that being a father is the most important job on the face of the planet, at least for males. And I've always taken that very seriously. I have thought since I was a teenager that the only reason I was put on the face of the planet was to be a dad. And that's something that I feel very, very committed to. So let's talk to Tim. He's got something to tell us about his dad. Hey, Tim, how you doing?
Hey, the show's been interesting so far. I guess I'll bring it down a little bit. Anyway, my dad, he's been gone for like 20 years, but I remember my mom didn't thrive, and my dad had 2 jobs, and somehow he still managed to take me to all my church programs and all my school programs. And he would sometimes he'd just sit out in the parking lot in the car, I don't know, listen to the radio or something. But I just took it for granted when I was a kid, but now that I'm an adult and an old man myself, I think, damn, he must have been must have been dead tired, but he still managed to chauffeur me around, and my sisters too.
Yeah, that's a fantastic testament. And, so for you, Tim, what your dad did for you meant a lot and has obviously impacted your life. And are you a father yourself?
No.
Okay. So you weren't able to pass that on, but the impact that he made on your life is something that you still remember, that you're going to remember forever, and has, I'm sure, helped you to deal better emotionally with your life than if he hadn't done those things.
Yeah, he was a bit of believed in corporal punishment, but that was a thing back in the early 60s. But
Right.
Oh, well, that's another story.
Well, I appreciate the call, and happy Father's Day for you and your memory of your father, and I hope that you are able to celebrate him tomorrow and that you have a great day.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
You have a good Father's Day too, Mike.
Good night.
Bye.
Okay, so the idea about being a good dad is that the most important thing that a parent can do for a child is actually twofold. So if you are able to teach your children to love themselves and you are able to teach your children to effectively emotionally regulate, then your kids are going to be okay no matter what else happens. And actually, if you teach them to effectively emotionally regulate, they're probably going to develop good self-esteem no matter what else happens to them. So the reason why that is so important is because of the way that we learn emotional regulation. So I've talked about emotional regulation before, and so we'll go over it one more time, but the definition of emotional regulation is the ability to feel, identify, and express emotion accurately and appropriately. And human beings are not born knowing how to be able to do that. So we don't come out of the womb knowing how to be able to emotionally regulate. We come out of the womb being able to experience emotions. So there are 4 primary emotions that are hardwired into human beings that you would be able to experience no matter what else happened to you in life, as long as your biology was intact. And that is glad, mad, sad, and scared. And the reason for that is because of the way the body changes based on hormonal releases. Those are the 4 primary emotions, which are also experienced by every animal that is in the classification of mammal. So all animals who are mammals have the same brain structures in them that allow them to experience those 4 primary emotions. I've said this many times. The difference is, so a dog can get mad, a dog can get glad, a dog can get sad, and a dog can get scared. The difference is that a dog won't buy an assault rifle and wait for you behind a couch to come home at night. Now, the reason is their paws, they don't have the opposable thumbs, they can't pull the triggers, but also because dogs don't ruminate, so they don't have the ability to feed the cognitive loop back on itself to continue to fuel the emotion. So they experience an emotion, and once they experience it, it goes away. They let it go. We were actually talking a little bit about this on the DGS yesterday. So if you were listening to the DGS, we were talking about how rumination actually fuels emotion in human beings and can make that emotion much worse than what the actual events would call for. But even if you can feel an emotion and even if you ruminate on an emotion, that doesn't mean that you have the ability to regulate around that emotion. And so the way in which human beings learn how to be able to do that is through modeling. So if you go on the Psych With Mike Facebook page, so at Psych With Mike, or I also tweeted this out at Psych With Mike on Twitter, then there's an article on there called Emotional Coaching, One of the Most Important Parenting Practices in the History of the Universe. And this is congruent with the brand of psychology that I use in my practice, which is called Object Relations, and very specifically self-psychology by a guy named Heinz Kohut. We've talked about that before. But the reason why this is so important is the individual, when they are young, doesn't know how to emotionally regulate unless somebody teaches them how to do it. So what that means is that the parent has to be able to also understand how to emotionally regulate, or at least be able to fake it well enough that they can demonstrate proper emotional regulation to the child. So I did not have the greatest upbringing when I was younger. I don't feel like I had a lot of experience with people training me how to effectively emotionally regulate. I learned a lot of that when I was older because of my education, because of my clinical experience, and because I just wanted to try and be different and healthier than I felt like I was when I was an adolescent. So I was able to then translate that into good emotional regulation for my children. And the way that I did that is that when my kids were young, the very first thing that I taught them before anything else was that you can't give away something you don't have. So if I don't have $100, I can't let you borrow $100. I can't give you $100 if I don't have it. No matter how much I want to loan you money, if I don't have any money, I can't do that. The same thing is true with our emotions and our emotional regulation. If we don't know how to emotionally regulate, it's going to be really, really difficult to be able to demonstrate that to our children. But if we don't love ourselves, then it's going to be very, very difficult for us to love other people. So the idea that you can learn how to love yourself by loving someone else makes a really, really good movie. So that's a good script for a motion picture, but it isn't good sound psychology. So unless we are able to love ourselves, we can't really love other people. So I taught my children, the very young, even before they were able to talk themselves, I would say to them all the time, you got to love yourself. I want you to love yourself. And so I tell this story about one day my daughter was in the back seat of my mom's car, and my mom was driving her, I don't know, I think she was bringing her home, but driving her somewhere. And my daughter said to my mom, "Grandma, do you love yourself?" And my mom said, well, I don't know, probably not. And my daughter said, well, my daddy says that you got to love yourself, and I love you, and I want you to love yourself because I want you to be happy. And so you should just love yourself and love yourself and love yourself. And my mom lost her mind and drove to my house, left my daughter in the car, came storming through the front door and said, what the F are you teaching your kids? Now, she clearly, obviously didn't agree with that parenting style. But the truth is that part of the reason why I did that was because it was radically different from the way that I was raised. And I understood that that was very difficult for her. She couldn't wrap her head around it, but that didn't make it the wrong thing to do. And so when we train our children to love themselves, a lot of people confuse that with training people to be conceited. So conceit is different than genuine self-esteem. So if I have self-esteem, that's going to a gym and being able to say, hey, I can bench press 300 pounds because I can actually do it. But if I go into a gym, I had actually a guy did this one day. He came into the gym. He said, hey, I was walking down the street and I told this guy I could bench press 300 pounds. And he said, oh, I don't think you can do that. And so he came to the gym and there were a bunch of us standing around. He said, can you believe that? And we were all like, yeah, we don't think you can do that. And so he insisted on putting 300 pounds on a bar. And there was this guy there was going to spot him, and he was like, no, don't spot me. Well, he couldn't get it off the bar, so the guy did, spotted him, picked this weight up off the bar, and let it go, and the guy dropped it on his chest. And when the other guy went to pick it up and pulled it off of him and put it back on the rack, the guy came up off the bench and was like, what'd you do that for? I had that. He didn't have it because he couldn't do it. So that's conceit. When you think you are better than what you are, or you tell people that you are better than what you are, that's conceit. If you are able to do the things that you say, that's self-esteem. Now, you don't have to brag about it. You don't have to go off on a tangent to make other people aware of what you can do, but it is not conceited when you say that you can do things that you can actually do. And being able to love yourself creates the foundation for self-esteem that allows you to be confident in the things that you can do and share those in an appropriate way. And that is a part of good emotional regulation. So the first thing that a parent can do to really be a good parent is to teach their children to be able to love themselves. Okay, we're going to go to our second break. Again, if you have anything to share tonight about being a dad or about your father, get us at 314-969-9797, 866-455-9797. Be right back.
And instead of saying all of your goodbyes, let them know you realize.
Follow Mike on Twitter at Psych With Mike.
Things last, you realize the sun doesn't go down. It's just an illusion caused by the world spinning round.
This is Psych With Mike.
Do you realize?
Dependable weather.
Clouds take control today. Chance of a couple of spotty
With Fox 2 meteorologist Dave Murray.
Brought to you by Air Comfort Service. 0% financing and factory rebates, plus utility rebates on a new HVAC system. For details, visit aircomfortservice.com.
At Royal Gate Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, they're setting the stage with their Drive and Discover event. Sign and drive a new 2017 Ram Quad Cab 4x4 for only $229 a month, zero down, taxes included. Yes, I said zero down, taxes included. Visit Royal Gate in Ellisville, Missouri or Columbia, Illinois, just 5 minutes from South County, or at royalgatedirect.com. See dealer for details. Mention Psych With Mike and get the Royal package at no charge.
Have you still not refinanced your mortgage? Well, soon you may be kicking yourself in the head. Hi, I'm Wesley Hogan with Westland Financial, and interest rates have gone up recently and will continue to rise, but they're still at historical lows. So don't delay. Let us lower your monthly payment, consolidate a first and second, pay off other debt, or drop you into a 15-year loan with no closing costs. That's right. Nothing's rolled into your loan. We'll pay for your appraisal, title, underwriting, settlement fee, everything. Do not miss out on this historic opportunity. Whether it's a purchase or refinance, you'll pay no closing costs. You won't spend a dime. Think about it. All it takes is a 5-minute phone call to find out how we can save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars a year. And by the way, Westland Financial now is proud to offer reverse mortgages for our clients over 62. So call us at 888-455-3669. It's the biggest no-brainer in the history of mankind. Call us at 888-455-3669. That's 888-455-3669.
Lennox Financial Mortgage Corporation, DBA Westland Financial Corp, 914 Almond Hill Court, Manchester, Missouri, 63021, NMLS 3304. Not all loans apply. Equal housing lender.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Zero Res Carpet Cleaning Company. So you are talking to not just the king, I am the master of procrastination, of justification. You give me a deadline and I will find a really good reason why to blow right through it. And you're probably similar. So you hear me talking about Zero Res. You hear me talking about getting your carpets cleaned, how it doesn't just make them beautiful, but it makes them healthy because there's all sorts of nastiness that just filters down into that carpet. You need to get it done, but you find reasons. Hey, let's do it after the holidays. Let's do it after Memorial Day. Let's do it after Labor Day. Just put on the big boy pants, get it done. It's one of those grown-up things you need to do, and they do it great. They're in and out. They use the patented empowered water system, and you don't have to do it again for a really long time. Mention me, get 3 rooms for starting at $129, 314-474-2020, Zero Res, STL.com.
Weeknights 7 to 9.
The deep state doesn't like him. They don't think they can control him.
Sean Hannity.
They are part of the swamp. Somebody's laughing.
Weeknights 7 to 9.
On FM News Talk.
Is that funny?
97.1.
Do you realize that you have the most?
Talk lines are open now. 314-969-9797 or toll free 866-455-9797. Now, more Psych with Mike on FM News Talk 97.1.
Welcome back to the Royal Gate Dodge Studios, Psych with Mike. We were talking before the break about what being a good parent is. We were just introduced the idea of emotional coaching, emotional regulation, and the idea that training your children to love themselves lays the foundation for good, healthy self-esteem. And just to kind of finish up on that point before I move on to the next subject, some people actually don't have a great concept of what self-esteem is. So even when you go to a professional, a lot of times you'll go to a professional and say, I don't always feel good about myself. And they'll say, well, let's work on your self-esteem, which is kind of a misnomer, a misunderstanding of what self-esteem actually is. Self-esteem is the global concept of self, which is immutable. You either have a good sense of self or you don't. So it's really difficult to work on that directly. What we work on in therapy is what's called self-confidence. So self-confidence is a domain-specific concept of self. So you can believe that you're a really, really good speller and still have really bad self-esteem. So you can believe in yourself in one specific domain and still have a global concept of self that's very poor. But if I can build your confidence in 51% of the domains that you exist in, then your self-esteem is going to improve, and there isn't anything that you can do to stop it. And one of the best ways to enhance that sense of overall global sense of self is for the individual to love themselves. If you love yourself and feel good about yourself, then you're going to generally see yourself as capable. That is confidence, and your self-esteem is going to be very, very high. So then beyond that, beyond the idea of loving yourself, we were also talking about this idea of emotional regulation. And I had talked about this on the DSG a couple of weeks ago, DGS. I say that all the time, DSG. The DGS. I hope Dave's not listening. that I had found this article, and it's on the at Psych With Mike Facebook page, that parents can learn to be more egalitarian, which means equal, in the way that they treat sons and daughters by being more mindful of how we are conditioned to be parents. So the gist of this article is that individuals, dads specifically males, actually treat their daughters differently than they treat their sons. And when they are with their daughters, they are more attentive than they are with their sons. And when they are with their daughters, they use more emotionally based language than they do with their sons. And they actually are more emotional coaching with their daughters than they are with their sons. So emotional coaching is this idea of being an active model for your children. So identifying emotions for them, like saying, oh, hey, little boy, you look sad. Are you sad? What does that feel like? So talking to them about their emotions, being able to identify your own emotions as a parent. So, as the father right now, I am very angry and I want to have a conversation with you about things that you haven't done. So being able to identify emotions and then label them helps the individual to be able to identify them and label them for themselves. And so dads tend to be more like that with their daughters than they do with their sons. So with our sons, we tend to be more hands-on. So we tend to wrestle with the boys and we tend to talk about emotions with the girls. But then what that means is that males oftentimes grow up in society not being as emotionally aware as females are. So one of the things that is a stereotype of being female is that you are emotionally connected with how you feel. And that's probably true because of the way that we parent. So it doesn't mean that boys don't have that same capacity. It means that as dads or as parents, we need to try and be more equal in the way that we treat all of our children. So the way that we can do that is to be mindful of what our own limitations might be. So if you believe that big boys don't cry or that fear is a sign of weakness, then, and I ask people those questions all the time. I say, I've been doing this for 30 years, and I've literally asked those questions thousands, if not tens of thousands of times, and I've never gotten a different answer, which is amazing to me because there isn't any place that I know of in the world where that's written down, where we are told, or it's a law, or it's even a rule that big boys don't cry. Yet we tell our children this all the time. The implication is that boys are supposed to be more limited in their emotional expression. And if glad, mad, sad, and scared is the emotional spectrum of a human being, and males are told that 50% of that spectrum is off limits to them, then think about what that means for them growing up, being able to identify and appropriately and accurately express their emotions. That's going to be very, very difficult for them. And so what I challenge men to do in my practice, and I challenge my students to be aware of, is to be mindful of the way that you interact with both your male children and your female children, and to be willing yourself to be emotionally expressive. So if you're an older man or even a middle-aged man, and you have been brought up to believe that big boys don't cry, and you yourself are unwilling to cry in front of your children, then how are you going to be able to model that emotional regulation technique to them? You're not going to be able to. So I tell this story that women say, and I love women. I'm married to a woman. I just want to say this up front. I love women. When I first got into recovery and I was working through my own hangups on emotional regulation, my wife went out and rented the movie Titanic. And if you don't remember, when it first came out, this magnificent James Cameron film was on 2 VHS tapes, which was at the time unheard of. This was crazy. It was just such a big, beautiful movie that it couldn't be contained on a single VHS. So we were watching this movie, And we got to the point where the ship was going down, and I hope this isn't a spoiler for anybody.
Wait, the boat sinks?
Yeah. The ship was going down, and the Irish lady was singing to her children because they had locked them under decks in steerage, and they wouldn't let them up on the deck. And she was singing to the children so that they would be asleep, so that when the water came up, that they would be asleep and they wouldn't experience a traumatic event associated with drowning.
Drowning, yes.
Yeah. And so I am now crying like a baby. Now, women always say that they want a man who's in touch with his emotions up until the time that they're actually confronted with that, because my wife stopped at the movie and said,
"Get out of here.
What the F are you doing?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "This isn't a documentary. I understand that this isn't, real-time footage, but I said this boat sank and people went into cold water, and how do you not have some kind of emotional reaction to that?" And she said, "I'm going to stop this movie. I'm going to take these tapes back to the store, and you will never see the end of it." Now, we eventually did watch the end of the movie, and the way that we did that is that I'm not fibbing. We hung a towel on a string. I'm not kidding. Between us, and I cried for the rest of the film. And she watched it on her side of the screen, and that was how we finished. Now today it's it's a joke.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, like if I go to a movie, like when I went to...
You cried at Old Yeller, of course.
I cried at Old Yeller. Yeah. Well, I bawled like a baby at Star Wars Episode 3. Because I kept screaming at the screen, "No, Anakin, don't do that, Anakin, no!" And I was a mess. So now my family knows this, and
never to go to a movie theater with you.
Well, not only that, but they will actually talk openly when we're looking for movies to watch. They will actually talk about, okay, now we know Dad's going to cry at this, so is it worth it?
Oh God,
right? But because I want to be emotionally open, and I don't have a problem with that, and so I am going to be emotionally expressive. And the truth is that I really don't care how that affects other people. If other people are uncomfortable because I am emotionally connected, then
absolutely, sure,
that's okay with me.
Sure.
Yeah. And that's how males should be. I mean, there's no reason why males.
I just questioned crying at Titanic. I don't know.
Well, I didn't cry.
I've cried at other things in other movies, certainly.
I didn't.
Titanic to me is not a crying movie.
Well, the only part that I really cried was the part where the Irish woman was singing to the kids. Yeah. And I was pretty openly crying there. But I do cry oftentimes.
I'm picturing the towel hanging up between you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But I have then been a very consistent and very open emotional coach for my children, because they have seen this in me. And so they say to themselves, Dad is not afraid to cry. He's not afraid to cry in front of other people. He's not afraid to cry in public. I am completely comfortable with it. And unlike some people, some stoic males who, if they cry, they're trying to hide it or they're trying to downplay it. I don't do that. I'm very open about it. If I start to cry out in public, I wear it, and I don't try and cover it up. I don't try and wipe the tears away like I'm ashamed of it. I'm very okay with that. And the reason is because, sadness is a very positive human emotion. So unlike anger or fear, which builds up a lot of cortisol and a lot of negative hormones in the body that are very destructive, sadness actually breeds happiness. So when you get sad, your levels of oxytocin and endorphins and enkephalins actually rise exponentially. It isn't the fact that we get sad that causes it to be perceived of as a negative emotion. It's the fact that as a society, we believe that if you get sad and then you feel better afterwards, that you're a bad person. And so we try and inaccurately try and contain that emotion so that we don't make some kind of social faux pas, and that's obviously 100% incorrect. The reason that sadness exists is so that we actually feel better after we experience and express the emotion.
So it's clearly along the lines of not bottling things up.
Right.
Definitely don't bottle up sadness, because that's something that in the end is going to help you turn a corner and feel better.
And not only don't bottle it up, but don't try and make it taboo for individuals to feel better afterwards. Because if you send the message, if you feel better after you get sad, then you're a bad person, then you doom that individual to actually inappropriately ruminating on that and keeping the negative feeling locked up inside. So I hope that everybody got something out of this. I hope that everybody feels like that was a productive conversation. I appreciate everybody listening to the show. If you want to podcast the show, I'm looking to see those podcast numbers blow up. So share the website with your friends. You can get the podcast at michaelmahon.org, where you can also contact me if you would like to. You can also get the podcast at 971talk.com/shows/psych-mike, which is my section of the website on the 97.1 page. So go there and podcast the show, tell a couple of friends, and next week, if it's 8 o'clock, if it's Saturday night, it's Psych with Mike. See you then.
Follow Mike on Twitter at Psych with Mike.
At Royal Gate Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, they're setting the stage with their Drive and Discover event. Sign and drive a new 2017 Dodge Charger SXT for $239 a month. Zero down, taxes included. Yes, I said zero down, taxes included. Visit Royal Gate in Ellisville, Missouri, or Columbia, Illinois, just 5 minutes from South County, or at royalgatedirect.com. See dealer for details. Mention Psych with Mike and get the Royal Package at no charge. Family owned and operated since 1972, Lakeside Roofing is celebrating 45 years in the roofing industry and would like to thank you for your support over the years. They specialize in all types of commercial and residential roofing and ensure quality and professionalism. Lakeside offers expert installation and maintenance, along with inspection services to fix and prevent problems before they occur. Call 618-344-2800 in Illinois or 314-241-5253 in Missouri to speak to a roofing expert today. For more information, visit lakesideroofing.com. Choose experience. Choose Lakeside.
Hey, this is Reba McIntyre, and I wanted to talk to you about a serious problem right here in our own backyard. Did you know that there are nearly 16 million kids struggling with hunger in America? That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks collects surplus food, engaging their communities in solving hunger and giving hope to hungry kids and their families.